General Michael Hayden, former CIA director, NSA director, and other experts have said that when you ask the U.S. military to carry out some of your campaign promises, specifically targeting terrorist families and also the use of interrogation methods more extreme than waterboarding, the military will refuse because they've been trained to turn down and refuse illegal orders. So what would you do as Commander-in-Chief if the U.S. military refused to carry out those orders?
They won't refuse. They're not going to refuse me, believe me. And if we want to go stronger, I'd go stronger too. Because frankly, that's the way I feel.
That's the way he felt that day at the debate. That was Donald Trump at Thursday's Republican debate, defending his previous willingness to use harsh interrogation techniques and kill the families of terrorists as well. But less than 24 hours later, Mr. Trump reversing course, his campaign issuing a statement quoting him as saying he would not order the military to take actions against international or U.S. law. Joining us now with some insights about how all of this is playing out, Jim Woolsey, who is the former CIA director, along with being the chairman now of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. So nice to have you here in our New York studios. Welcome.
Good to be with you.
We're usually talking to you from Washington, but it's really nice to have you here.
Thanks.
As we discuss certainly a controversy that made some news this week, given the fact that within 24 hours, Mr. Trump reverses course and says, well, he's not going to try to go against international or U.S. law. What did you make of the comments?
Well, his original statement was that he would support things more extreme than waterboarding and implied even going after the families of the terrorists, and both of those are just unacceptable. And then he said his feelings were, that you just saw on the screen there, we shouldn't care what his feelings are. His feelings are irrelevant. He ought to make a decision based on consultation with experts and the rule of law. And you can make an argument both ways on waterboarding. Waterboarding is a tough interrogation method, but on the other hand, we had journalists volunteering to be waterboarded so they could write better stories about it. One friend of mine did. And we have Navy SEALs and Special Forces waterboarded as part of their training routinely. Now, you don't routinely pull the fingernails out of Navy SEAls, all right?
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
You don't do real torture as part of your training exercises. So there's an argument that waterboarding itself, there's a case to be made on each side of it, of whether it could be called or should be called torture or not. But more extreme than waterboarding, killing families of terrorists, I mean, come on. So he felt like saying that at one point, and now he doesn't feel like it. Well, his feelings are irrelevant.
Should he win the White House if it goes all the way to that point? I mean, obviously we don't know at this point. We're still in the early stages of this campaign. What would it take, though, for the Commander-in-Chief to set a precedent to change policy to this point? So they say now that waterboarding is not part of, is illegal and not part of something that we do as the United States. If a Commander-in-Chief wanted to put that back in place, what would it take and how would that happen?
Well, I suppose he could order the CIA or the Pentagon to undertake various types of interrogation methods. As I said, waterboarding has its own complexities, but he could order that. But if you were a CIA employee or and civil servant, and we did something that we were ordered to do and that was not clearly illegal, again, let's take waterboarding. We're in a situation whereby we may have to spend half of our annual salary on a lawyer to help us deal with investigations, because the Justice Department at the White House order several years ago reinstituted some investigations that had already been decided in favor of the employees, in favor of their not having committed crimes or been involved in torture. And there's only so many years worth of legal fees that you can take as a civil servant. So you might have a lot of people say, well, thank you very much, Mr. President, for this memo, but I think I'll go back to my old job in the non-government world.
That you're talking, then there's concerns about trust then in terms of going forward and when policies like this are still controversial.
Right. It's a tough situation, but we also have to keep in mind that we may have at some point a situation whereby We know that, let's say, there is a nuclear warhead somewhere in Manhattan. We know that someone like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who's in custody, knows where it is. Would we waterboard him? And if so, who would do it? Well, it would seem to me that might be a case in which we really would need to waterboard Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or that character like him, as we did before. But can you get anybody in the government to do it?
That's the big question. All right. Woolsey, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us right here in New York.
Good to see you.
Really